232 930 kHz, amplitude modulada. A sua Rádio Cultura de Curitiba.
1h.
Começa agora o programa Causa Operária, aqui na Rádio Cultura, a mais livre de todas. Comigo, Eduardo Vasco.
Por que defendemos o fim do Estado de Israel? Pedir o fim do Estado de Israel é pedir o genocídio do povo judeu? Não. Vamos lá. Desde o início da guerra na faixa de Gaza, você deve ter visto vários defensores de Israel falando que no movimento em defesa da Palestina há pessoas pedindo o genocídio do povo judeu. Qual o motivo para isso? Uma grande parte desse movimento pede o fim do Estado de Israel. O correto, de acordo com os sionistas, seria pedir 2 estados, um da Palestina e um de Israel. Mas é verdade que o fim de um Estado significa o massacre de um povo? E é verdade que a solução seria a criação de 2 estados? A resposta para ambas as perguntas é não. A primeira é muito simples. Pedir o fim de um Estado não significa exterminar o povo que lá habita. Estados surgiram e desapareceram ao longo da história várias vezes, sendo substituídos por outros. Para entender melhor, vamos falar um pouco sobre como foi criado o Estado de Israel. A Palestina foi uma província árabe do Império Otomano até a Primeira Guerra Mundial. Depois, uma região administrativa controlada pelo imperialismo britânico. Os árabes palestinos viviam lá há mais de 1000 anos. Com o objetivo de criar uma colônia europeia no Oriente Médio, os ingleses promoveram a imigração dos sionistas para a Palestina. O Império Britânico reprimiu brutalmente as tentativas de independência nacional dos palestinos e fortaleceu e organizou militarmente os sionistas para a criação do Estado de Israel. Os sionistas não defendiam a criação de um Estado republicano, democrático, e sim de um Estado apenas para os judeus, ou seja, um Estado racial e supremacista. Segundo eles, os palestinos teriam de ir embora ou permanecer como cidadãos de segunda categoria, sem direitos por não serem judeus. E é isso que acontece hoje. O país que mais se assemelhou a Israel foi a África do Sul do Apartheid. Na época do Apartheid, não seria democrático pedir um Estado para os brancos e outro para os negros. O correto era pedir o fim do Estado do Apartheid, a criação de um Estado democrático onde todos pudessem viver com os mesmos direitos. Ou seja, um Estado em que a maioria de negros pudesse viver ao lado da minoria dos europeus que ainda desejassem se manter na África do Sul, com igualdade de direitos. Foi isso que aconteceu na década de 1990. Não houve massacre dos brancos. A política para a Palestina é a mesma. A criação de um Estado democrático, onde a maioria de palestinos possa viver no mesmo território, com os mesmos direitos que a minoria de judeus que para lá imigraram. Mas você pode achar que isso é muito mais absurdo do que a criação de 2 estados. A verdade é que essa é a única solução democrática. O motivo é simples. A tese dos 2 estados sempre foi uma manobra dos sionistas para ocupar totalmente a Palestina. Prova maior disso é que em 78 anos de ocupação sempre se falou em 2 estados, mas nunca existiu o Estado da Palestina, apenas Estado de Israel. O golpe consiste justamente em falar eternamente nos 2 estados, enquanto se faz tudo para impedir que isso aconteça. Vejamos os fatos. Em 1948, a ONU definiu 2 estados no que, naquele momento, era a colônia inglesa da Palestina. Os sionistas tomaram 78% do território palestino através de expulsões em massa e massacres. Uma verdadeira limpeza étnica. Assim foi criado o atual Estado de Israel. E o que houve com os outros 22% do território palestino? Viraram parte do Egito e da Jordânia, países controlados pelo Império Britânico. 19 anos depois, Israel invadiu os demais 22%, começando a famosa ocupação da faixa de Gaza e da Cisjordânia. Dessa forma, continuaram a matar e expulsar os palestinos destas regiões. Em 1993, pressionados pela Revolução Palestina, chamada Intifada, os israelenses assinaram os Acordos de Oslo. Os palestinos aceitariam perder 78% de seu país e, em troca, ganhariam um Estado com os 22% que sobraram. E o que fez Israel? Impediu a criação de um Estado da Palestina e estabeleceu sobre os territórios supostamente autônomos uma ditadura militar. Agora, quase 800 mil colonos israelenses vivem no que seria o falso Estado da Palestina. De 1948 até hoje, sempre se falou em 2 estados. Nesses 78 anos, Israel apenas ocupou mais terras, expulsando e matando palestinos. O fato é, os sionistas nunca foram a favor da existência de um estado palestino. Seu plano sempre foi ter o controle total do território. Para eles, é inaceitável a existência de um estado da Palestina, pois isso significaria potencialmente 14 milhões de palestinos vivendo ao lado de 7 milhões de israelenses judeus. Nessas condições, a tese de apenas um estado começaria a parecer inevitável, dado que a maioria da população seria obrigada a viver em apenas 22% do território. E não é só isso. A maioria dessa população morava originalmente nos 78% que Israel roubou. De trás do espantalho de que o Estado único representa o genocídio dos judeus, o sionismo vem realizando o genocídio dos palestinos para construir um Estado judeu. Em resumo, a criação de um Estado palestino é quase que um passo direto para o fim do Estado de Israel e a criação de um Estado único e democrático em todo o território da Palestina. Mas os sionistas não querem isso de jeito nenhum. E por quê? Porque seu objetivo nunca foi criar um lar seguro para os judeus europeus. Seu objetivo era, e ainda é, criar uma base militar para controlar todos os povos do Oriente Médio. O Estado democrático da Palestina, onde os judeus europeus seriam uma minoria vivendo em paz, não cumpriria esse papel. A solução dos 2 estados é impossível, pois os sionistas não a aceitariam de forma alguma. Por outro lado, a solução de um Estado democrático em que a maioria dos palestinos possa viver com os mesmos direitos que a minoria de judeus europeus não é apenas a solução para o problema da Palestina. Ela é a única solução democrática.
Você está ouvindo o programa Causa Operária.
Esta é para quem quer economizar. Se a sua empresa gasta a partir de R$7.000 por mês em energia elétrica e faz parte do Grupo A, ligado à rede de alta tensão, você poderá economizar até 35% na conta de luz. Venha falar com a Copel. É simples. Além de ter controle total sobre os seus gastos, você reduz custos e pode focar no que interessa: crescer. Acesse o site copelmercadolivre.com e calcule o seu desconto. A Copel garante energia com economia para a sua empresa crescer. Copel, pura energia.
Informação e qualidade sonora é na Rádio Cultura.
A APP Sindicato chega aos seus 76 anos com uma história escrita a muitas mãos. Nesta longa jornada, nada caiu do céu. Todos os direitos e conquistas dos professores e funcionários das escolas públicas do Paraná nasceram de grandes mobilizações e da luta organizada da categoria. Sozinhos não há como vencer. Juntos não há como perder. Faça parte dessa história, sindicalize-se. A APP Sindicato, há 76 anos em defesa da escola pública gratuita e de qualidade.
Faço um novo café, desisto de procurar. Sempre tem uma saída. Alguém aqui dentro me diga onde em mim fica o mar? Wagner Hengel.
Cuidar das instalações elétricas do imóvel é importante para a segurança de todos. Mantenha sempre em dia as revisões e saiba se a fiação está compatível com os equipamentos que você usa. O medidor de energia deve permanecer lacrado e com acesso livre aos profissionais da Copel sempre que necessário. Assim, você cumpre seus deveres de consumidor e preserva seus direitos.
Copel, pura energia. 1
Você está ouvindo o programa Causa Operária.
Dr. Basri, what's the humanitarian situation in Gaza at this point?
Thank you very much for interviewing me. I think there is no word can describe the catastrophic situation on the ground much better than the decision of the ICG, International Criminal Court, which described what Israel is committing in Gaza is genocide. When you talk about genocide, you can imagine that they are targeting everything to exterminate any existence of the Palestinian, human existence, institutional existence, cultural existence, religious existence. Therefore, after around 130 days of the Israeli aggression against our people in the Gaza Strip, and by the way, at the same time in the West Bank, we are talking about around 30,000 Palestinians killed. Most of them are children and women. Thousands are still under the rubble. Around 70,000 Palestinians injured. Most of them also are women and children. By the way, this is for the first time in the history of wars that women and children are killed more than men, and that the injured are only the double of the killed people. Usually it is 1 to 5, 1 to 6. In this case, we can talk about 1 to 2, which reflects the aggressiveness and of targeting the whole society. And when they talk about military targets, or when they talk about precise targets, it is only the usual Israeli propaganda. They have destroyed nearly all the hospitals, especially in the northern part of Gaza Strip is totally destroyed. The health system is totally collapsed. They have destroyed around 70,000% of the residential houses, all the universities, most of the schools, about 1,100 out of 1,200 mosques. The 3 churches are attacked. The infrastructure, I mean water facilities, wells, everything which is alive, or everything which can help people to survive was a target. Within this big titles, what I have mentioned now, if you go into details, you will hear a lot of very, very painful, striking stories. One of them, for example, yesterday, they are besieging Nasser Hospital now for 3 weeks. Snipers have killed inside the hospital dozens of Palestinians who are moving inside the hospitals, either medical staff or displaced people, denying the hospital any contact with the outside, no water, no medicine, no fuel, nothing. Yesterday, they have asked one of the displaced people inside the hospital to wear what we call it the corona gown, and they put around his head a yellow sign, and they asked him to tell the people in the hospital they have to evacuate the hospital. And then they told him, after telling the people this, come back to us to tell us what was the response. When he came back, they have assassinated him. This is one of thousands of stories. If you go into detail, you will hear the very famous story of the child Hind. Maybe you heard about it, this 6-year-old which was trapped in a car, and the ambulances went there to rescue her. They have killed the 2 ambulance crew and the girl. Again, no words can describe the situation, the current situation, the health situation on the ground. People are really starving on the northern part of Gaza Strip. They are sometimes spent days without any food, without any medicine is not available, no water, no fuel. Therefore, we have said it always that Israel is waging two wars. One is by the tanks and jets and navy, and the other one is by starving and suffocating the people on the ground. The situation is very, very serious. Now in Rafah, they are preparing for the military operation into Rafah. In Rafah now, around 1,400,000 Palestinians who has displaced from the north to the south, and who has been asked from the Israelis, you have to move from the north to the south where it should be safe. Now they are attacking in Rafah. Rafah, before October 7th, the residents of Rafah were around 250,000. Now we are talking about 1,400,000. It is unimaginable. But despite of this, they are proceeding, despite of ICG decisions to stop the aggression, to stop this siege on Gaza, to allow aid to come in, to protect the civilians. Despite of all calls from the international community, they are proceeding. 2 days ago, they have started or launched the operation by a first shot. They have killed around 100 and injured hundreds. Again, the situation on the ground is very, very serious. What can indicate how serious it is, that WHO maybe a few days ago have stated that if the war stopped today without international intervention, 1/4 of the Palestinians living inside Gaza Strip might die because of hunger or because of new erupted infectious diseases. Thousands and thousands of Palestinians suffering of infectious diseases because of absence of medicine, because of overcrowded shelters, because of lacking of hygiene, lacking of food, lacking of healthy water. It is very serious.
Would you say that the war is a war against the civilian unarmed population?
I think this is not a hidden plan. The Israelis from day one, they have said we have two main goals. One, to crush the resistance, and second, to displace all Palestinians out of Gaza Strip. And then they have repeated this in different ways. One have said we have to drop atom bombs or nuclear bombs on the Gazans. One had said we have to convert Gaza Strip into a parking place or a playground. A few days ago, they have organized a big conference in Jerusalem, attended by officials, around 30 Knesset members and ministers, who were talking about plans how to resettle, to rebuild settlements in the Gaza Strip. I think this is a crucial and central part of this aggression. And these are not new plans. These plans from the 70s and 80s. And whereas there is a chance to implement it, they try to use it. And we are sure that these plans are not only for the Gaza Strip. If they end their mission or their aggression in Gaza Strip, they will move to the West Bank and immediately start the same plan they have already implemented in the West Bank. You know that around 62-65% of the West Bank is already confiscated by the settlements or by the settlers. Now they are squeezing the Palestinians in cities and converted all these cities into prisons. And we are sure that they will start to squeeze the Palestinians more and more, like what they are doing in Gaza, so that the Palestinians forcefully or voluntarily decide to leave, maybe towards Jordan. again, these are announced, publicly declared plans. Smotrich few months ago have said Palestinians have one of two choices, either to leave or to be killed. And he talked about Jordan as part of the big state of Israel. Therefore, yes, this is a central part of the Israeli aggression today.
One of the most appalling features of the conflict are the children. Why so many children?
Look, I think for two reasons. First of all, we have always to remember that around 75% of Gazans are below 18, are children, which means when you attack residential houses, schools, 100% you will attack a lot of children. Second, I believe that Israel have always talked about the demographic conflict. Now, within the borders of historical Palestine between the river and the sea, there are 7 million Jews and also 7 million plus Palestinians. And we know that there are other 7 million Palestinians outside in the diaspora. Therefore, this demographic conflict is also a crucial, central part of the whole story of the conflict. Today, for example, they are working hardly to push the Palestinian existence in Jerusalem outside the city, because they know they might control the area by force, but sooner or later they cannot exterminate the existence of Palestinians unless they are killing as much as they can of the Palestinians. Therefore, I think, again, it is because most of the people inside Gaza are children, around 70% to 75%. And second, because they are targeting the future of the existence of Palestinians inside Gaza Strip.
So you think that they intentionally target the children?
Sure. Look, in a lot of cases, for example, in when they stormed Al-Rantisi Hospital, this is a pediatric hospital, children hospital. They have forced the families to evacuate the hospitals, including displaced people, and they have forced the families to leave babies and in incubators behind. And when the families came after 2 weeks to look after their children, they found them dead inside incubators because they have closed oxygen supply. Yes, it's clear that they are targeting children. And in a lot of, even the ICG, they depended on official statements of President, Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, that all Palestinians inside Gaza Strip, including children, are terrorists and have to be attacked.
So it's a war of extermination of a whole people.
Sure, it is genocide to totally exterminate the existence. How can you convert Gaza Strip into a parking area or into a courtyard or an empty place for new settlements without exterminating the people there?
This situation in Gaza is a climax of a long-standing situation. How was the living conditions in Gaza before the 7th October?
I was the Minister of Health for years, and we were fighting every day for the survival of the people. Maybe the best description that some legal expert, international legal expert, including UN expert, they have described Gaza as the biggest open-air prison. Some of them, even including Jewish experts, they have described Gaza as a concentration camp. How can you have around 2.3 million Palestinians in a small strip, which is 360 kilometers? This is one of the most populated area on earth. Closed borders, controlled tightly by the Israelis. At some time, we have had officers from the Israeli side who are expert in nutrition, and they were calculating how much a Palestinian need every day of calories. And based on this, they have allowed food and other things to enter Gaza. I mean, they have dealt with us as an animal farm. And they are controlling even our food, our medicine. I know as a Minister of Health, a lot of people who died inside Gaza because they were denied the permission to leave Gaza Strip to get a treatment in Jerusalem or in Hebron or even in Jordan or in Egypt. I mean, it was so dire, no horizon, no future, catastrophic health situation, catastrophic educational system, because again, no security, more than 7,000 items were not allowed or prevented to enter Gaza under the pretext of dual use. Again, it was catastrophic. It was so fragile, so that the UN, maybe in 2018, have said, or 2016, have said that in 2020, Gaza is unlivable. No one can imagine that Gaza will go beyond 2020. Maybe because of the steadfastness of the resilience of the people, and some aid came from outside, people were able to continue. But when it comes to a lot of details, it was so suffocating that no one from outside can imagine that people were able to survive.
And even in this situation, there were Israeli raids on Gaza.
This was the usual scene since when we won the election in 2005 and formed our first government in 2006. You can say each year there was a raid, yani big, smaller one, but there was in 2006, in 2008, in 2011, 2012, 2014, 2017, 18, 2021, and in between there are always, every now and then, attacks. Therefore, no one in Gaza have the sense of security, or we have said always, the only certainty in Gaza is the uncertainty. At no time you can be sure that in the next hour I can do this or that, or tomorrow I can plan this or that. You cannot. Again, the only certainty in Gaza was the uncertainty.
What was during all this period, the economy in Gaza?
There is no economy in Gaza. It was only day-for-day survival. 85% of Gazans were depending on international food aid. More than 80% are living below the poverty line. You can say between young people, 65% unemployment rate. Total unemployment rate around 50%. You cannot talk about the economy. Look, they were targeting the economy directly by destroying even small companies, small workplaces. In 2014, for example, after announcing of ceasefire, while they are leaving, they have destroyed more than 70 small companies near the borders, which was able to give a few workplaces or job opportunities for the people inside Gaza. It could be an ice factory or ice cream factory, or it could be a biscuit factory. I'm talking about very, very simple, very small factories. Money which is coming in or leaving Gaza was controlled by the Israelis. Workers, water, electricity. Look, since 2006, we haven't one day 24 hours electricity. All the time it was 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. How can you build an economy without electricity? Electricity means and fuel also was controlled by the Israelis. Therefore, if you talk about internet connections, if you talk about electricity for the companies, if you talk about fuel for the bakeries, everything was totally controlled. Even what was allowed to enter Gaza as food supply, it was also controlled by the Israelis that they are sure it will be only enough for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days maximum.
The imperialist and Zionist propaganda says that while Hamas soldiers are secure in the tunnels, the common people is suffering above ground, and that Hamas uses the people as human shields. Is that true?
First of all, Israel is an occupying power. And Israel as an occupying power in international law have clear duties which has to be respected. First of all, to protect the civilians and not to attack the civilians as a collective punishment. Israel has no right to deny people of Gaza today food and medicine and to target hospitals and ambulances and even food storage. Second, all these tunnels are mainly tunnels for military purposes. You cannot talk about tunnels which can embrace thousands or millions of people. These are only routes to move under the ground to be able to move within the military operation. But you cannot talk about we don't have the facility to build what the so-called protected tunnels for thousands and thousands. Maybe you have seen some of these tunnels. It is only a way to move. Third, there are a lot of shelters coordinated with the UN, from the UN with the Israelis, that these are safe places and the people can move to. All these shelters, without any exclusions, have been attacked and a lot of people killed inside the schools, inside the shelters, inside the hospitals. A lot of our colleagues have been arrested while they have coordinated with the UN their forceful evacuation of hospitals. And how can I use my people as a human shield while they are attacking, for example, when they have attacked the Baptist hospital at the beginning of the aggression and killed more than 500 Palestinians in one shot? People searched a refuge in the Baptist hospital and thousands of people were there when they have attacked the hospital with one of the most aggressive, brutal bombs. How can you protect your people if they have rockets which can penetrate the ground 30 to 40 meters downgrade, even if you have it? Again, if we talk about human shield, we accuse Israel that they are using our people as a target in this military battle. They are using our people to squeeze the resistance. We have said it always, please protect or keep the people safe somewhere, and we are ready to continue fighting. And if we accept this argument, then it means that also the resistance have the right to attack all the cities inside Israel, because all these settlements and kibbutzes are military bases. Today, for example, the IDF main building, the Kiria, is in the middle of Tel Aviv. The radio station of the army is above one of the biggest buildings inside Tel Aviv. All these settlements and settlers in the West Bank are within the civilians, our people and their people. If it is so, it means that they are using their own people. Even the civilians who were near the borders on October 7th, they are near military compounds. Again, I think it is, as you said, it is a military, an Israeli propaganda to relieve themselves from the responsibility as an occupying power to protect the civilians. Look, you can hear everyday statements of Guterres, the UN Secretary General, or other, Josep Borrell. No one is talking about Hamas using the people as a human shield. They are asking Israel as an occupying power to avoid targeting or civilians. Look, I know a lot of cases where Israel was able to kill someone inside his bedroom alone. I mean, when they want to do a very precise operation, they have all the facility to do it. And there are a lot of cases where leaders or fighters killed alone inside his bedroom. Sometimes his wife or children were not harmed at all. Which means that what they are doing when they are dropping these huge bombs in neighborhoods in the beach camp or in the Jabalia refugee camp, it is not targeting civilians. It is not targeting the resistance or resistance fighters. It is targeting the civil population to push them, to put them under pressure.
Do the Hamas combatants have their families above ground?
All of our families are above the ground. You can tell everyone around the world that, from the political bureau up to the military leaders, all of them have lost some of their families. I myself have lost 7 of my family. I am civilian, per definition, as a minister of health and as a political bureau member. My mother, my niece, my grandchildren killed during this aggression. And Mr. Ismail Hania, the head of political bureau, have lost at least 60 to 70 members of his small and big families, including 2 of his grandchildren. All the families are above the ground.
And do the people in Gaza generally supports the armed struggle?
Look, maybe if I say yes, it could be seen as biased, but we have polls done by neutral bodies supported by some Western institutions. One of them was very famous after 2 months of October 7th. It has showed clearly that 80% are totally supporting the resistance. In some question, above 90%, that we are supporting the resistance, and we see it as the only way to reach our or to achieve our national goals.
And last, do you believe that...
And sorry, by the way, now we are talking about 4 months or 4.5 months after. If all these millions of people inside Gaza Strip or even in the West Bank, if they are not supporting the resistance, I'm sure they will find a way to raise their voices, to talk against, or to go to the streets calling for stopping this war. But okay, some voices here and there, sporadic, but we don't hear big masses moving against this resistance or against this pathway to achieve our goals.
Is it your belief that the Palestinian cause is on the way to victory?
100% yes. First, unfortunately, we have been cheated or deceived for 30 years by the so-called peace process. And it was not more than a process. No one was planning seriously to reach peace. I mean, the Palestinians have given the international community and the Americans and the Israelis a chance to reach a settlements of this conflict, despite we have what we call it confiscated, we have lost 78% of our historical land to reach this peace. But who destroyed the peace process or the peace? Who killed Yitzhak Rabin? It was not the Palestinians. Who killed Yasser Arafat? It was not the Palestinians. Who clearly, publicly talked about undermining the so-called peace process or two-state solution? It was Netanyahu, starting 1996, when he undermined all the so-called Hebron treaties. I mean, at no time the Israelis were serious about the Palestinian state. You will not find any Israeli party, including the leftists, who is clearly stating in its charter that we are for two-state solution, a Palestinian state and an Israeli state. At no time any party in Israel, including the leftists, were for an independent Palestinian state. Some of them they were talking about a self-governing body, a state minus, but no one was talking about an independent sovereign state for the Palestinians, even on the borders of 67. But what is more also important regarding your question, we have studied the history of a lot of people around the world who achieved their national goals in Vietnam, in Algeria, in South Africa, different areas. This is the only way to achieve the national goals. Unfortunately, these colonial powers are so brutal and so aggressive that they are not a charitable organization, that suddenly they will come say, sorry, we have bothered you for a few years, we are leaving. They will not leave unless they are forced to leave. And I was in Algeria last week. The French, in 2 days, they have killed 45 Algerians protesting peacefully, calling for independence. In Vietnam, in South Africa, even in Latin America, there are a lot of countries, they have achieved their goals only through this way. This is not our choice. If anyone can help us to achieve our goals peacefully, please. But if not, we cannot continue living under these inhuman conditions. Therefore, when Smotrich have said Palestinians have two choices, either to leave or to be killed, we have also responded, we have also two choices, either to live here free in dignity or to be killed here free and in a dignified way. But there is no other choice. We are sure that we will reach our goals, and this is the nature of things. And we are also sure that this artificial project of the colonial powers here, I mean, Israel is not deeply rooted here on the ground. I know that most of the Israelis have 2 passports. At the time they are squeezed and under pressure, they will leave. Today, you will see Palestinians who have lost their houses, children, families, and they came from under the rubble, raising the victory sign and say, Alhamdulillah, we are here and we will continue. You will not find this spirit on the other side. I'm sure more pressure they will leave because they are not deeply rooted. We have here our grandfather and grandfathers living here for hundreds of years. Every morning I am under occupation. When I am asking myself why I'm here, there is no answer because it is natural to be here. I am here because I am here. But I am sure that each Israeli is asking himself every morning why he is here. He was in London, he was in Rome, he was in Washington, he was somewhere in Moscow. And why he came here to enjoy a better life, but not to be all the time under the threat of being attacked or blackmailed because of political. And we see that Israel is already, before October 7th, is so deeply fragmented socially and politically and at the regional level that even without October 7th, it will collapse from within.
Thank you very much.
Please.
Esse foi o programa Causa Operária, com a apresentação de Eduardo Vasco. Para saber mais, acesse cultura930.com.br/Causa Operária.
Fique ligado nas dicas de segurança para a proteção